Good morning, welcome back to SV Basic. It's kind of nice. Weather's changed. It was raining yesterday, and I'm looking at the forecast. We have 10 days, it looks like, of no rain. I heard birds chirping this morning. The seasons are changing fast. We're actually going to have record-setting temperatures coming up in a few days from now. So that means we're going to get a lot done on SV Basic. So let's jump aboard and see what we're in for. Look at this, the rudders. This was the last little bit of glasswork I had to do. I'll trim this up, sand this down, and these are ready for fairing, barrier coat, and bottom paint. And we're done. These cassettes, I got a little work left. I'm starting to build these ends up. There's a little bit of damage on these, so I'm making sure those are nice and clean. We'll sand these up one last time, get glass on those, and those will be ready for fairing. Oh, lot to do before we haul out. Less than 2 months now, but look at that, the sun's trying to burn through these clouds, and once it does, we'll have nice weather to get a ton of work done. So let's get going. Okay, I want to get these rudders set aside. They're about done. All I need to do is just trim this loose glass off. And to do that, I just take a sharp razor and just run it right along the edge. Take a little piece of sandpaper, and I could hand sand this down really carefully and hide the seam right on that radius. Just be real careful you're not burning through anything. I mean, the whole goal of this was to get protection on this, and these edges are so vulnerable. I just keep working it down until it's smooth. Okay, that didn't take long at all. Probably 15-20 minutes. And look at this. You can run your hands over this, just smooth as can be. And that seam is hidden right on this radius. Okay, this rudder's ready for fairing compound. Now work this one over and get onto those cassettes. Okay, now that I feel good about the rudders, let's get you up to speed on these rudder cassettes. Okay, remember when I was taking these apart? There was a little bit of gap. About a 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit more gap. So what I'm doing is taking core mat. This is core mat here. And I've laminated a piece on top, on bottom. And that's gonna give this cartridge probably about an 1/8 inch more height, which should take up most of that gap. This core mat, I just cut out a couple pieces here and laminated them in. Now I'm going to shape them in with thickened epoxy. Now I need to do that first before I lay my glass cloth, because I want the glass cloth to sweep up and over this and just make this all one solid piece. I still need to fair the other side, so I'll shape this and fair the other side at the same time. Okay, I'm just filling this in with West System with a colloidal silica, which is their 406 product. Just kind of shaping this in. I need to get this real close. This is very difficult to sand. So the smoother I get it, the better. Okay, now that I've shaped these in with my thickened epoxy, I'm going to go through and look at these little teeny gouges and little imperfections. I'm going to try to just smooth some of this side out. There's a little ridge here. That way my glass cloth will lay down much flatter. without any voids behind it. I'll just go through, work this over for a while, and get this just a little bit smoother. I'm not too concerned about making this real pretty. I don't need to fair this afterwards. This whole piece gets buried inside the hull at the end. I just want to make sure it's sound. It's nice to have these just camping out here. I'm not touching those again until fairing. Just spent the better part of a couple hours sanding these down. Just want to make sure the surface is in good condition so I can start laying the glass cloth. I am putting a lot of extra work onto these ends. This is where those nylon bushings for the rudder posts land. So I had been building these up and shaping these in. I'm going to start layering glass cloth on that. And I will pay attention more to these ends as I start shaping this in. But let's get this glass cloth down so this will cure overnight. Okay, it's a real irregular shape, and I want to do two different pours. One from this side, fold it over down to this bottom edge, and then I'll flip it tomorrow and fold it up to this edge. So this whole perimeter will have two layers, and each face will have one.
Man, I wish I grabbed the camera just earlier. Teal's running around, and I can see why. He's laying up cloth right now on these cassettes, and they're kind of difficult just because there's lots of little bends on them.
And the sun's hitting it.
And the sun's hitting it.
So I'm trying to get this all down before it fires off. And that one took me about 20 more minutes than I thought it would. It hasn't fired off yet, but it was close.
Do you need any help?
No, I got it. I got it now. But I guess gotta work at a faster pace on this one.
You notice how I asked to, or I offer to help you after?
After, here, take this.
No way.
Still got one to go.
You were running fast, but I would be probably cursing or something.
You don't curse.
I could curse. But it looks good.
Get in there. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That layup was fun. And why it was is because I tried to tackle quite a bit all at once. This face, this edge, that edge, this edge, this edge. Lapping it over, folding everything around, and all the way around these are pretty intricate shapes. And I did it with a 205 hardener, so I had probably a 25-minute working time, and these took me about 20 minutes to get that to fold down. So I was humping it to get this finished off. But they're both done. I'm kind of babysitting them right now until they start to fire off. Make sure nothing kicks up. I don't want any bubbles starting in some of these really crazy areas like this right here. So I just sit here with my little cards, and I just kind of make sure these are all in place while I'm waiting for this to fire off. Should be a few more minutes. Okay. We'll check on this in the morning, see how they look. Okay, I was inside a minute ago, I heard a big crash, so I came out here thinking, I don't know what I was thinking, like a goose hit the boat. Canadian geese are all around right now. It was a big crash. Beautiful morning. So I'm looking around the decks trying to find anything. Then I look up. There's the culprit. A bald eagle. He came in hot. So fast. Look at this. He broke our wind indicator. Jerk. Hey, buddy. He's not even paying attention to me. He's bending the whip antenna now. Oh well, pretty majestic animal. I'll let him stay. Looks like a beautiful day though. Let's get to work. It's a new day. Nice and calm. Sun's out, we're gonna get a lot done. Look at these cassettes. Laid that glass on last night. It's fully cured. I'll be able to trim these up, sand these up, and get the cloth on the other side. These look much flatter than they did. Remember that big hump that was on here? Let's sight down this now. Let's look at the sheen of the sun. See, look at that. You could barely see my insert now. That's gonna work out nicely. These should ride in those trunks much smoother now. We'll get those in and mount them in permanently. So my goal today, get these flipped over, sand these out, and get some cloth on. We'll start with that. Okay, got all that trimmed off. Now we'll just sand this smooth, and I'm ready for glass. Okay, just spent about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes sanding these out. Got them all wrapped around nicely. And remember, I ran this wild right up this edge. By, dyeing off my glass cloth right on this sharp radius, when you sand it, it just goes right away. Now when I lay this one over, it'll come down and I'll dye it off on this edge, and then I'll sand that away. That way I get a nice layer of cloth here, here, and a double layer here with a nice 2-inch overlap. Okay, I got the cloth all cut. Using a 10-ounce cloth on these cassettes. This is the last layer that I'm putting down. So I'll check back in about an hour. It takes about a half hour per cassette to get this to lay down right, and I'll show you how I did. Okay, let's take a look at these. Just finished this one. It's still a little wet. This one's starting to fire off now in the sun here. But let's take a look at this. It's all wrapped around nicely. This is the last layer of cloth on here. We'll get this curing today, and I will trim this up, sand it tomorrow. But for now, we gotta get out of here. Got an appointment this morning. So we got a lot of stuff to do in the next month and a half. One of them is scouting out a new head sail. Yeah,
our head sail is old, worn, and stretched out.
Looks like something from Waterworld. It does.
It kind of does. Actually, it does. They said that too.
So there's a lot of great sail lofts here in Seattle, and we're going this morning to meet with North Sail and just talk with them a little bit, see what they have to offer. So this is exciting. It's another step getting us closer to to sailing.
It makes it really real.
It does. Unless you want to keep our old sail.
We'll keep it for nostalgia.
Maybe. We'll take a picture of it. Okay.
Oh wait, Emma's new blanket. No.
So let's head on over there and see what they have to say.
And then it has this that you can push down, and it squeezes it and pulls it through. It helps pull through information
Before I put those in.
Yeah.
There's also another track on the
cabin top.
exactly right here.
Is shorter compared to the height of the sail.
Okay.
Whereas if we do a Genoa, which is a sail that overlaps the mast and goes further aft, then that's a lower aspect sail. And that produces lower loads, whereas the high aspect is going more straight up, and the highest loads are between the head and the clew of the sail, so we have to handle those first.
Right. And I would assume sail material plays a big role in that too.
Yes, in what it can handle. So we actually, this one improvement on that. webbing at the head and the tack, so there's not a metal ring to scratch up your furler, and it furls up smaller and tighter.
Right, yeah, it's quite a bit lighter.
It's like, yeah. And then this has the briefing patches. So you see how this patch goes out and beyond the
Right.
furling marks?
Right. I know. See, I'm afraid if we do this, we'd have to redo our main. So.
Right, there you go.
Are you trying to tell me something?
Okay, that was interesting, huh? Learned
A
a
lot.
lot of information.
I'll take it.
But sales have changed in the last 10 years, so we have to do our homework. Oh, okay, we got nice weather. Look at this. Right next to fisheries. We better go shopping.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
I need some epoxy.
You got everything you needed?
Kind of. How are we going to afford a sale now? I'm spending all your money.
I know, right?
Okay. I think.
Here's a basket for you.
You think?
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's better than it ending up all over the ground.
Probably a good call.
And I'm going to be on your blog.
I know.
Yeah.
I want royalties. I have a hefty fee too.
Okay.
So what a lot of you guys don't know is I actually do most of the epoxy on board. But today I'm thinking it's time to turn the reins over to Teal and let him do this layup. So he is going to be laying up.
You're going to watch me lay up fast because it's hot in here right now.
This is a learning opportunity for you.
Yeah, it is.
We gotta move fast because it actually is pretty warm, which is weird because it's only about 55 degrees out, but the sun's beating on this and it just warms up. So it's kicking, huh? I can smell the epoxy.
Yep, I just got to move quick. I've got a lot to do here in the next few minutes.
All right, well, in the meantime, I'm going to sit here and wait for him to tell me when he needs more epoxy, and I'm gonna enjoy a little rosé.
Hey.
Gotta stay hydrated.
I know.
Looks good though. Let me know if you need more epoxy.
I will.
So yesterday my dad laid down the glass in the sugar scoops and my mom was supervising. So he's working right now and we're gonna go check out to see what it looks like. So I think he did a pretty good job. You can see right here. A+ for me.
Okay, now that these are all sanded out, I need to drill a hole back in here where the rudder shaft goes through. It's a 2-inch hole. Goes in right here. I'll show you how I do that. Okay, let's see how nylon inserts fit right in nicely. Okay, now that these are bored out, I notice in here these are fiberglass tubes, but they look a little dry in there. So before these go back in the water, I'm going to put another coat of epoxy on the inside. And to do that, Lynn came up with this idea to straighten out one of my roller cages. and I could reach way in here. Look at this. And I'll just work my way out. Ingenious. Okay, last night I put my second coat on the interior of these cassettes and then went through with some thickened epoxy and touched up any little nicks or defects in my glasswork, and I spent an hour or two this morning sanding them out. These are done. No more epoxy work. The rudders are done. No more epoxy work. That means the only thing left is fairing. Well, and barrier coat and bottom paint, but fairing is next. I use a 3M product. They're 3M Platinum. I like it because it's really lightweight. It flows out smooth. It's a little expensive, but it's really easy to work with. When I did these rudders, I really paid attention to keep this glasswork as flat as possible. I mean, here's a transition seam right here. You can't even feel it, so it's not going to take much fairing at all. Most of the fairing is just going to be getting, you know, this little bit of stipple that you feel from the glass cloth. So what I'll do is skim coat these really lightly with that fairing compound. It's not going to take much. I'll get Lynn to help. She'll mix up the fairing compound as I'm applying it. It's a warm day, so it's going to go fast.
Ooh. Let this one dry. This will fire off here in about a minute or two. Just a thin layer, maybe a 32nd of an inch thick. Most of this product will be sanded off. Let's get the next one set up here. Ready to take a break?
I like this.
Where are we gonna?
I like this new routine.
Yes. Trying to go inside?
Perfect timing. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes. You can see on this after about 20 minutes. If I was putting on this product thicker and I'm trying to go over an uneven surface, I would be using long sanding boards. But since my substrate was so flat, all I'm doing is filling in just the grain of the cloth. So I'm able to use an orbital sander on this. Okay, it's that easy. This first face is done. You can see all I did was fill in the grain of the glass. Everything else came out perfectly smooth, and this feels just smooth as can be now. Okay, I'll just keep repeating. I'll flip this over, do that side, sand this one up, and just keep going until I feel good. I still have to do the edges and the tops, so I got a little ways to go. Okay, everything's turning out real nice. That's the last side. I still have a little bit of details on the edges, but these are turning out as good as they could get. They just feel smooth as can be here. You know, I'm sure that a lot of people are gonna have comments about sanding fairing compound with an orbital sander and you can never get it flat, but I'm telling you, I've had enough practice with this. I'm really happy. I did that same method on 1,000 square feet of decks. And look at these suckers. All done with an orbital. I'm not suggesting everybody use an orbital. It takes a lot of practice. But for me, it works. Get this one sanded up, a little more details, and I'm ready for barrier coat. Getting excited.
Looks like you guys are getting a sneak peek of the barrier coat that my dad puts on next episode. He also tackles a pretty big project in this head. Remember, if you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. If you really liked it, check our Patreon page in the link below. Come back next week to see one of our cool new videos. See you then!